Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. First, the headlines. The Oman Investment Authority achieves growth in its investment in the Singaporean Rotary Company and the Brazilian Intervias during 2023. Israeli military strikes across Gaza Strip kill at least 61 people in the space of 48 hours. And polls are opened for Algerians to vote in presidential elections. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sent a cable of greetings to Her Excellency President Dr. Gordana Siljanovska of the Republic of North Macedonia on her country's National Day. The Oman Investment Authority revealed that it has achieved success through its investment in the Singaporean Rotary Company and the Brazilian Intervias during 2023, as the two investments are part of a generation portfolio. The authority explained that the Singaporean Rotary Company achieved remarkable growth in its revenues as it increased by 19% in 2023 compared to 2022 due to its implementation of huge projects in several countries and its targeting of promising investment opportunities in the fields of renewable energy and petrochemicals. As for the Intervias company, which operates in the infrastructure sector by investing in toll roads in the Brazilian city of Sao Paulo, it witnessed remarkable growth in traffic on the roads in which it invests, and its revenues increased by 17% in 2023 compared to 2022, which contributed to the authority's success in partially exiting it, achieving lucrative returns that will be recycled onto other investments. The public establishment for industrial estate Madain witnessed a growth of 30% by the end of the first half of the current year on an annual basis, with the number of investment applications during the same period reaching 184 applications. The total volume of investments in Madain reached 7.6 billion Omani Riyals, increasing by 2% compared to last year. Suhar Industrial City attracted the largest investment with 53 million Omani Riyals by the end of June this year. During the first half of the current year, 2,310 contracts were signed for investment in industrial and non-industrial sectors. Also, the leased areas increased to 33 million square meters with 35 occupancy rate. In addition, Madain issued around 300 permits for service providers and 890 permits to start commercial and industrial activities. Israeli military strikes across the Palestinian Gaza Strip killed at least 61 people in the space of 48 hours as Israeli forces continued their offensive in the territory. An Israeli airstrike on the Halima Saadia school compound, serving as a shelter for displaced people in the Jabalia urban refugee camp, killed at least 8 people and wounded 15 others. 5 more people were killed in a strike on a house in Gaza City. The Palestinian resistance fighters said they had fought Israeli troops in Gaza City, in central areas and in the south, with anti-tank rockets and mortars, and in some accidents denoted bombs to target tanks and other army vehicles. The health ministry in Gaza pointed out that at least 40,939 people have been killed and 94,616 people wounded in the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, the head of the CIA, who is also the chief U.S. negotiator seeking an end to the Gaza war and release of hostages held by Hamas, said a more detailed ceasefire proposal would be made in the next several days. Polls have opened for Algerians to vote today in a presidential election. President Abdelmajid Tebboune faces 2 candidates, and his victory means Algeria will likely keep policies aimed at strengthening the country's energy exports and impacting limited pro-business reforms while upholding lavish subsidies. However, many Algerians will be watching to see whether turnout will exceed the 40% registered in 2019's election. Kyiv today said it had struck an ammunition depot in a Russian region bordering Ukraine where a large fire broke out overnight after a drone attack. The Russian governor of the Voronezh region said debris from a downed drone triggered a fire and series of explosions, ordering the evacuation of nearby settlements. Russian anti-air defense systems detected and neutralized a drone earlier this morning over the western part of the region, under 150 kilometers from Ukraine. Russia said today it had seized another village in eastern Ukraine, where Moscow's troops are continuing to advance. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky discussed his peace plan to end the war with Russia and reconstruction with a focus on Ukraine's energy system in a meeting with Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni on the sidelines of the Ambrosti Forum in Italy. Super Typhoon Yagi unleashed heavy rainstorms across parts of South China's Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region today after making consecutive landfalls in Hainan and Guangdong provinces. In Fangchenggang City, Yagi has brought powerful winds and torrential rains, resulting in uprooted trees and significant disruption. To seek shelter from the storm, over 100 merchant ships and fishing boats have anchored at Fangchenggang port. Local authorities have allocated electricity generators and other emergency equipment in the port in cases of emergencies. In Guangxi's Qinzhou City, the highest level of response for floods and typhoon mitigation and response has been issued. Local authorities have fully prepared to deal with the storm and have established 800 relocation sites for residents. NASA welcomed the return of Boeing Starliner spacecraft that landed uncrewed in a New Mexico desert late yesterday, capping a 3-month test mission hobbled by technical issues that forced the astronaut it had flown to the International Space Station to remain there until next year. During an early morning news conference from NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, NASA expressed its delight over the safe and successful landing of the spacecraft. Amman airports attracted 6 international airlines to Muscat International Airport during the current year. Amman airports indicated that 4 of the attracted companies have already started operating their flights to the airport, and 2 companies will operate their flights during the coming period of this year. Amman airports added that the company is searching for and evaluating new markets for the national carriers and other airlines. It is worth noting that Amman airports attracted 5 airlines last year, including 2 companies from Europe and 3 airlines from the rest of the world. Omani oil exports by the end of July this year reached over 179 million barrels, calculated at the average price of $82.05 per barrel. Statistics issued by the National Center for Statistics and Information indicated that oil exports constituted 84.5% of the total oil production, over 211 million barrels. The total local production and import of natural gas reached over 32 billion cubic meters by the end of July 2024, increasing by 5.5% compared to the same period last year, which was over 30 billion cubic meters. The main index of the Muscat Stock Exchange recorded an increase last week for the 2nd week in a row, closing at 4,760 points, raising by 14 points. The index was able to rise in Wednesday's trading to 4,081 points, recording its best performance in 3 months. The financial sector index recorded the best rise during the past week, increasing by 74 points. The market value of the Muscat Stock Exchange rose at the end of trading to 24.5 billion Omani Riyals, recording weekly gains of 18.5 million Omani Riyals. The total credit balance granted by commercial banks in the Sultanate of Oman increased by 2.3%. The Central Bank of Oman reported that credit granted to the private sector increased by 1.6% to reach 20.5 billion Omani Riyals by the end of June this year. The total investments of traditional commercial banks and securities witnessed an increase by 22.4% to reach about 5.6 billion Omani riyals by the end of last June. The Future Environmental Capacity Building Summer Program concluded its activities for the second season in North Bulletin Governorate. The program aimed at training college students on environment sustainability subjects and creating a bridge between Environment Authority, academic institutions, and private companies operating in environmental services. The Environment Authority seeks to promote learning, training, and capacity building programs in partnership with private companies and academia. College students went through a variety of job situations and requirements to prepare them for their jobs in the future by expanding their knowledge and turn it into useful practice. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Oman Investment Authority achieves growth in its investments in the Singaporean Rotary Company and the Brazilian Intervias during 2023. Israeli military strikes across Gaza Strip kill at least 61 people in the space of 48 hours. And polls are opened for Algerians to vote in presidential elections. With that, we come to the end of tonight's bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night, and we hope you've enjoyed your weekend.